past 2 games and needs to get back on track for the Panthers successful.
Well, the Panthers are the best shooting team from the floor in ACC play, but have hit only 37% of their shots in the losses to Duke and Virginia. So when we come back to Coral Gables, we'll get underway. Lineups and play-by-story of half number 1 with the Canes and Panthers after you see this. Is brought to you by the official corporate champions of the ACC, by BB&T, by Food Lion, Geico, and by Toyota. Well, at Bank United Center tonight, the first meeting in 10 years between Pittsburgh and Miami. Panthers have won 2 straight in the series, 4 of the last 5. And the lineup for Jamie Dixon's Panthers tonight hadn't changed much since the game 1. Lamar Patterson, of course, with Michael Young, the freshman. And Corey, the balance of young and old in this Pittsburgh lineup is really impressive.
Well, and that's where we have to have strong leadership on this Pittsburgh team. And, of course, Jamie Dixon talked to us about the fact that his older guys welcomed him into the fold.
And for the first time this year, Miami goes to a 4th different lineup. Lecomte, the freshman guard from Belgium, Darius Adams, Davon Reed, Donovan Kirk, and Tonye Jakiri will start for the 7th consecutive ball game. And that leads us to our Motel 6 sixth man of the game. Coming back from illness is the Hinesville, Georgia senior, Ryan Brown, the Canes' leading scorer and 18th in the league at 14 points a contest.
And missed practice yesterday, and of course, through Coach Larinaga's policies, if you're unable to practice the day before, you don't start, but we expect to see Ryan Brown early in this contest.
And Brown, the only returning player of substance from last year's team, of course, that won 29 ball games and advanced to the NCAA tournament and went 15-3, won the regular season and the tournament in Jim Larinaga's 2nd season here in South Florida. Panthers have lost to Duke and Virginia, and combined have shot under 37% from the floor and been out-rebounded in both those losses.
And that's the key, because that's a staple to their program and what Pitt has done traditionally throughout the Jamie Dixon era. They rebound the basketball.
Ball in the air. Good crew tonight. Ray Natili, Galveston, Texas. Cookeville, Tennessee's Gary Maxwell, and Harleyville, Pennsylvania's Joe Lindsay are on the whistles here tonight. Pittsburgh the basketball, and Miami opens man-to-man here.
No, they're in the zone.
Yeah.
The Miami zone is a matchup, so they can fool you. And right now, Pittsburgh trying to figure out exactly how Miami's trying to play them and what's going to be the best possible shot for them. And they've got the shot clock already under 10 seconds.
Here's Young. Kick out for Patterson. Lamar Patterson on the drive and draws the foul against Miami. So the Miami foul on LeCompte will be his first. And let's get to Corey's forward keys to the ball game tonight.
Well, for Pitt, it's going to be getting points in the paint. That's where they struggled. Only 14 paint points against Virginia last time out, and that's where they make their living. For Miami, they have to win the battle from beyond, and meaning beyond the three-point line from their perimeter players. They've got to get scoring from their 1, 2, 3 positions. Coach Larinaga told us they're not depending upon guys up front to give them points.
Ninth best free throw shooter in the league is Lamar Patterson. He hit them both. And Pittsburgh the early lead.
And that's a good start for Lamar Patterson, attacking, getting to the free throw line. And for scores, that's where you really change that average. And for him to be able to get there is important for Pitt throughout the game.
LeCompte to Kirk. Puts it on the deck. Davon Reed is a freshman. No good. And Cameron Wright makes the save of the missed shot. Pittsburgh quickly in the front court with Robinson, the sophomore from Mitchellville, Maryland, at the point. Young, and here's Wright sneaking baseline. 4-0 Pittsburgh.
And that's where Cameron Wright does his damage. He's not really a guy that steps out and shoots a bunch of three-pointers, but his mid-range game is exceptional, and he finds those spots on the floor right where he needs to shoot the basketball, and which is the reason why he shoots such a high percentage.
LeCompte, the freshman, picks up on his dribble, and here's Donovan Kirk, who's had quite the basketball journey. Started at Miami, went to DePaul, and now has come back to finish his collegiate career here in Coral Gables. Adams and Reed with the shot clock down to 5 now. Kirk goes to work inside. Over the top of Young, no good. Boy, Pittsburgh made it hard for Miami to breathe a little bit.
Well, Pitt traditionally has been a great defensive team, and of course, in a slugfest with Virginia last time out, and they showed just how good they were as Lamar Patterson travels. LeCompte jumped in the passing lane there, but Pittsburgh playing Virginia, 48-45 game, and that's really the staple of another of the staples of their program.
Jamie Dixon, of course, 280 wins now, 18 of them this year. Very good defensive team. They've won 9 of their last 12, 3-1 on the road. The only hiccup they've had. That shot is no good by Kirk. And a come here ahead to Young in transition. Knocked away, and Wright tried to give him a second chance. He collided with Adams, and he's off to the races. And Adams is fouled and scores the basket. I'm not quite sure how he got the shot up on the iron, but Darius Adams scores.
You're exactly right. Darius Adams, that's a kind of a trick shot right there. He didn't even know James Robinson was there. But the presence of mind just to get it, well, he heard the whistle just to get the ball in the air and get his shot up on the glass. And, of course, for Darius Adams, turns out to be 2 points, an opportunity for 3 at the line.
So Adams, a 67% free throw shooter. Miami 9th in the league at just under 69%. The ball got slapped down by Kirk and almost worked its way back to the rim off the slap.
And that would have been the second trick shot for Miami in the first half.
4-2 Pittsburgh. 2.5 minutes gone. Patterson, as Pittsburgh kind of hunts and pecks a little bit against this matchup 2-3 zone. Zana and Jakiri going to work, and Tonye Jakiri will draw the foul. And Jim Larinaga's third team now here in South Florida. This is the rebuilding team, no matter how you want to look at it. Talk about Shane Larkin leaving early. When you lose Kaji, you lose Scott. We were talking about Durant Scott. How many big shots did he hit a year ago?
Well, they lost more than anybody probably in the country when you think about the guys they lost. 0 returning starters. Ryan Brown was their 7th man last year, who's their best player this year. So role defining was major for Jim Larinaga early in this season. But he feels as though his guys are starting to get comfortable in how they need to play.
Darius Adams on the drive has tied the game at 4 on his second field goal. So 4 in a row now by the host Hurricane. Here's Young, tried to bounce it to Zana, turned it over against the pressure of Kirk and Jakiri. Adams had it knocked away as Wright challenged. It'll stay with Miami.
Garius Adams continuing to attack the basket and does a great job switching to the left hand. If he goes to his right hand, he brings it back into the defense, but a great job switching to the left and able to tie this basketball games. And Adams, of course, being aggressive, attacking the paint is a place where Pitt defensively never wants their opponents to be.
Substitutions. Brown has come on the floor, of course, and now we see Eric Swope onto the floor for the first time for Coach Larinaga's club. And here is Ryan Brown. Adams dumps it low. Jakiri too far underneath. Blocked by Patterson, and then fouled is Tonye Jakiri, the sophomore from Hialeah, Florida. By way of Nigeria, Zana. There are 4 Nigerians on the 2 for each school here tonight. The international impact of basketball continues to amaze me, and it's showcased from the country of Nigeria here tonight.
Absolutely. Well, you know, if you ask me, basketball is the global game. I understand people, you know, talk about soccer, and I can respect that. But, you know, playing internationally, things are such. I know how crucial basketball is throughout the entire world, and it's good to see people from all generations coming over and being able to play here in the States.
Jakiri has given Miami the lead. Not a particularly good free throw shooter. Now 50% on the year. Robinson has come out of the lineup for Coach Dixon. And the Raleigh, North Carolina freshman Josh Newkirk onto the deck for the first time. Jakiri fights and gets the rebound and scores. Great second and third effort by Miami here early, Corey. He's built them a 3-point lead.
And Miami goes to the full court pressure, and this is not something that we've seen often from them. And you see Pitt not handling it very well early.
Patterson for Wright. 3-on-3 and back to Newkirk.
The Pitt was able to advance that, but I'm sure they were caught off guard right there. The 1-2-2 trap by Miami.
Deflected by Reed. Panthers are able to hold on to it. Wright, the 2-pointer. And rebounded by Adams. Boy, Garius Adams has given him a lift here early.
Well, Garius Adams, he missed really the last 2 seasons, and from right now, he's really starting to round into the type of player that Jim Larinaga thought he would be. But when you miss that much time, it takes a while really to get into a flow in the way the game has to be played, especially at this level.
3-point lead for Miami on 7 in a row. They tried to lob it. It got deflected and knocked in. The basket, I think, will be credited to Jakiri. And it's a 9-0 run by Miami.
Well, we have to say that the ball is bouncing Miami's way so far in this one. That one right there, I don't even think Jakiri got a hand on it, but he gets credit for 2 points.
They awarded it to Garius Adams, so he's got 6 of Miami's 9. Wright on the drive and foul. Well, we thought it would be hard fought. When we thought it might be possession to possession, we just didn't expect surprise deflections for baskets. Miami by 5 early. ACC game is brought to you in part by Hardee's, by Ford, and by Direct Auto Insurance. 9-4 Miami. 5:15 gone in this opening period with Corey Alexander and our fine ACC College Hoops crew. West Durham, Jim Larinaga has got to be pleased where they are offensively here, at least early.
Absolutely. Miami last in the ACC as far as scoring offense, so getting off to a good start against a great Pittsburgh Panther defense for them is encouraging, and especially when you're playing at home with, really inexperienced players. It's good to get off to that good start that can carry you throughout the remainder of the game.
Free throws coming for Cameron Wright. Redshirt junior from Cleveland. After the foul going to the timeout was on Davon Reed. And so Pittsburgh, 5th in the league at 71.2. First one good by Wright. In conference play, the Panthers are 7th at 68.2. Miami is 13th in free throw percentage in league games at 62%.
And which, of course, is very rare for Jim Larinaga to be in that range. Of course, you look back to last year where he had such a veteran team. When guys went to the free throw line to make big shots, things like he knew what he was going to get. And that's what he's told us about his team, is he doesn't know really what he's going to get on a nightly basis from many of his guys. Ryan Brown is really the only consistent player for him throughout this season.
Deflected pass. Foils an alley-oop try for Brown. Nice backdoor Patterson. One of the top assist guys in the ACC finds Young for the easy basket.
And that's what makes Lamar Patterson so special. His ability to score, of course, makes him a good player, but his ability to pass sets him apart simply because when you try to take him away, he's always willing to find the open guy.
9-8 ball game. Miami, who went on a 9-0 run after trailing 4-0. Seeing the advantage cut to one, and Reed lost it on the dribble. Here's Wright ahead for Newkirk. Back for Cameron Wright. Blocked out of there by Swope. Reed the recovery. Miami in transition. And Reed the three. How about that?
That was a 5-point swing. You have to credit Eric Swope for getting out, not giving up on the play, getting back defensively, and coming up with a huge block. And when that happens, normally the team that comes up with the ball has an advantage on the other end. Miami able to take advantage with a big three.
4-point lead now for the Canes. Patterson on the drive and draws the foul.
And you see the defense as Swope gets back, coming from nowhere to go up with the block, goes to get it. And on the other end, you see the kick ahead, Ryan Brown finding Davon Reed, and that's one of the better times to shoot the three-pointer is in transition. The defense can't get back. They can't get matched up, and Reed able to take advantage of the mismatch.
Foul was on Adams. It was his first. And team foul number 4 here in this first half on Miami, and Darius Adams will get a seat. And LeConte returns, the freshman from Belgium. Lamar Patterson with 3 points here early, all at the free throw line. And the first miss of the night by Pittsburgh at the strike. So still a 3-point Miami lead. Jamie Dixon spent a lot of time today talking about the defensive end of the floor and how they would attack Miami. And now Newkirk on Pittsburgh's defensive end has fouled Brown shooting 3. Young freshman from Raleigh, his first and the third on Pittsburgh.
And one thing I noticed today with both these teams, very loose in their shoot-arounds. I mean, Pittsburgh having lost 2 in a row, you may expect them to come in and be tight, and coach would be on them. Jamie Dixon had his guys very relaxed and understanding that they've lost 2 in a row, but they lost to 2 pretty good teams, to say the least. And the same for Miami. They were having a bunch of fun, enjoying it. They were locked into what Coach Larinaga wanted them to do, but still enjoying themselves and the opportunity to be in on the court.
Yep. Ryan Brown's the 10th best free throw shooter in the ACC at 80%. And the second of the 3 is good. You give this guy a lot of credit, Corey. I mean, the top half of the roster took off. He was kind of left, and really I think it speaks to Jim Larinaga's guidance in getting Brown to understand that you were part of the band last year. Now you might have to be the lead singer.
And he stepped up, and of course his November and December was not great. And you see this pressure. And from Miami, the full court pressure is another turnover for Pitt. And this is something I don't believe Jamie Dixon really was prepared for. And I don't remember seeing Miami do this the entire season, coming out in full court pressure.
Reed to Brown. In the corner, here's Kirk. Now LeCompte with 13 to shoot. Pittsburgh trying to force the offense to start some 30 feet from the hoop, and Wright forces the turnover. Cameron Wright against Ryan Brown, and it will count. Reed slapped the ball in the window. I think he may have gotten the board as opposed to the ball, and they'll score the basket for Cameron Wright.
James Robinson actually getting a hand on that, and James Robinson getting out in transition, understanding he's got an advantage. And with that strong body, he can put his shoulder on a defender and still find a way to get to the rim. Does that, and it comes up with the goaltending call.
First basket for Robinson. Pittsburgh to within 4 again. Here's Reed. Firing away. And the long rebound. Last touch by Pittsburgh. It'll stay with Miami. Corey, this ball game's got a little more scoring to it than I think we thought we'd see in the first 8 minutes.
Well, and when you talk about these two teams, of course, both of them this year, they've played in a lot of slugfest, and both very good defensively. But right now, they have got it off started very well scoring the basketball.
LeCompte on the drive, fouled by Newkirk. Tough first few minutes for Josh Newkirk on the floor. Foul Brown shooting a 3. LeCompte going to the rack. Free throws for the Canes when we come back. Motel 6 is the presenting sponsor of ACC basketball on Fox Sports South. With Corey Alexander, West Durham at Bank United Center, Coral Gables, Florida tonight. First meeting in a decade between Miami and Pittsburgh, and so far the home team. Partisans are happy. A 4-point lead for Miami on the nation's number 25 team. And Manu LeCompte, the freshman from Belgium. 18 years of age, coming off 2 straight double-figure efforts where he's averaged 16 points. But he has hit a little bit of a wall in assist to turnover, Corey, in those last 2 games. 4 assists, 5 turnovers.
Well, one of the things about him, and Coach Larranaga wants him to be more aggressive. And, of course, the more aggressive you become as a basketball player, you put yourself in a position to where you can come up with those turnovers. But he's really starting to, develop into a young man that can get into the paint against opposing defenses. He uses his quickness and his speed. Of course, a very crafty young player. So for him, the more aggressive he is, the better off he is.
5-point lead for Miami. And with the lead, they can afford to stay in the matchup too, right?
Absolutely. And, of course, you got to make Pitt beat you from outside. You don't want them to getting into your painted area. You got to make them shoot threes to beat you to score their points.
And an offensive foul on Jamel Artis, who has come in the ball game. Freshman from Baltimore at 6'7", 230 pounds. And that'll be number 1 on Artis and number 5 on Pittsburgh. Jamie Dixon went through an injury. Deron Johnson tore his ACL on January the 11th in the win over Wake Forest, and he was averaging almost 20 minutes a game. Most of those minutes have now gone to Artis off the Panther bench.
And Johnson was a guy who can stretch it from behind the three-point line and was a very effective scorer. So when you look at that, you take points off the table for Pitt and another guy in that rotation. They were really playing 10 guys, and now down to 9. And for a lot of people, it may not make a big difference. But when you have that many bodies that you can rely on, it's huge from the standpoint of having that depth. In games where Lamar Patterson may not be playing as well, you've got another guy that can go out there and get it done.
Panthers have committed 16 fouls, so Miami will be shooting the bonus on the next common foul. And Pittsburgh slides into a zone here. High post Ja'Carry, down low Kirk, the catch. Layup no good. And the lead for Wright, picked off by Tonye Ja'Carry. Miami the other way, and the lob behind the reach of Reed. So two teams known for defense have gone for highlights.
Well, you see that play right there, and we talked about LeCompton and the turnovers. Getting out, and it's a great job by Ja'Carry getting out there with the steal. But you see here, the simple play would be the bounce pass. The highlight play is the alley-oop, and that's the difference right there in a younger player. And because of it, Miami doesn't come away with 2 points.
Robinson can't finish, but Zana does.
And Talib Zana sprained his ankle, pretty badly against University of Virginia the last game out. You can see he was not the same going back into that game. And even as he runs up and down the floor right now, you can look at him and see he's not 100%. He's going to tough it out. Very tough kid. But you can look at him and tell he's not 100% right now.
3-point lead for Miami. Closing in on the midway point of this first half at Coral Gables. Miami trying to snap a 3-game losing skid in the league. And there's the 7th foul on the Panthers. And the first on the senior red shirt from Lancaster, Pennsylvania, Lamar Patterson.
And this is one of the changes for Jamie Dixon and the Pitt Panthers. They've been a physical defense forever. And when the rule changes came in regarding, putting your hands and putting your chest,
right?
Freedom of movement.
Yep.
It really changed things for Jamie Dixon. And he told me early in the season that's one of the reasons that they play zone more often is to keep his guys out of foul trouble, because they've been conditioned to play so physically defensively in the Big East for however long, for the last however long.
Right.
But now coming to the ACC, which is more of a finesse league, as well as the new rule changes, they've had to pull back a little bit, and that's one of the reasons he's gone to the zone. And you can see, 7 fouls in the first 9 minutes, 10 minutes of this game. They're used to being physical defensively.
Yep. Well, it's been an interesting first half. Pittsburgh finds themselves down 4, and Miami in the bonus. Patterson in a double team. Now another double team, and Zana loops one back out front here to Cameron Wright. Patterson has 3 free throws, but no field goals. Zana to work on Ja'Carry. Can't score, but does draw the foul. And Tonye Ja'Carry, the 7-foot sophomore, his second and the 5th on Miami. And Talib Zana from Kaduna, Nigeria, in his 9 ACC games is playing great.
And you look at those numbers, that's with a 2-point game against Virginia where he turned his ankle and was never the same. So he's really been playing much better than that.
Yep.
And you look at Zana and Lamar Patterson, both redshirt seniors for Jamie Dixon, been in his program now 5 years. He's the 2 rocks that they depend on to every night out. And they've got a number of playmakers when you think about James Robinson, Cameron Wright. But those 2 guys have to be important, have to have the huge production every night out.
Second chance for Pittsburgh on the rebound of the Zana miss. And Talib back to work and blocked by Kirk. And James Robinson now will reset. Wright doesn't shoot many threes. He'll work on the drive from the right. High off the glass and in for Cameron Wright.
That's his game. He attacks the paint. That's what Pitt does as a team. They get in there. They're not a high 3-point shooting team. They don't take a lot of attempts. But when you think about it, they have tough players who don't mind putting their head down and getting inside that paint and taking the contact.
They're to within 1. Adams on the drive. Another scoop and score for Garius Adams.
I'll tell you, Garius Adams is in his trick bag today. He's showing us a little bit of everything to start this game off.
8 points for Adams. And a 3-point lead for Miami. One and done are the Panthers. Well, Miami's playing with a sense of urgency. Here's Brown, a fall away. And a foul on the deck is against James Robinson.
And Cameron Wright attacking the basket, and great touch to be able to get this high on the glass, somewhat of a floater to get it in. But on the other side, Darius Adams doing a great job splitting the double team. Euro step, a little tricky with it, left hand off the glass. Darius Adams is just showing us a bit of everything tonight.
Senior Eric Swope at the line. Front end of the 1-and-1, no good. And Young the rebound. Quickly the Panthers down floor. Derek Randall, the Rutgers transfers, come on the floor, and there's Wright scoring in the lane. He's got 8 now. Averages 10 against the league, 11 during the course of the full regular season. Pittsburgh to within 1 again.
And we asked Jamie Dixon, you know, when Lamar Patterson's struggling, the teams do their best to take him out. What do you turn to? And he told us we've got other playmakers. James Robinson and Cameron Wright can make plays for us. You see Cameron Wright really stepping up in the first half, providing scoring for Pitt.
Donovan Kirk's baseline jumper rimmed out, and last touch by Miami. Now Randall is on the floor, giving Sana a bit of a relief. And Larinaga has dipped into his Miami bench, of course, early in this ball game too.
But this zone for Miami is really long up front. When you look at the lineup, when you talk about Davon Reed, Ryan Brown, and Darius Adams, that's 6'5", 6'6" across the front of the line, and that makes your zone very long.
Newkirk into traffic, pushed it up, Swope the rebound. Here comes Adams, driving again, blocked by Young. One too many trick shots. Here's Wright, pull up for the lead, got it. Cameron Wright with 10 on his 4th field goal. And with Patterson struggling, there's the guy Jamie Dixon needs to give him a boost.
Absolutely, and Cam Wright coming to the rescue for the Pitt Panthers, and that's his game. He is a mid-range marauder. I'm going to call him that. The mid-range marauder. He gets into the paint. He finds ways to score. He doesn't do it behind the three-point line. It's just knocking shots down, giving a little glare over to the Miami bench. This is no surprise. I do this all the time, just in case you didn't know.
Well, Cameron Wright off to a great start. He's got 10 to lead Pittsburgh. And the Panthers, who had an early 4-0 lead, saw Miami run off 9 straight. And the Canes have kind of been in control of this thing. But now 1-point lead on Wright's basket.
And one thing about Pitt, and you've seen them a number of times this year, they don't panic. It doesn't matter what's going on in the game. They do not panic. They continue to play the way they're going to play. Strong rebounding, toughness, being physical. And somehow or another, they always find themselves back into the game.
So Pittsburgh with this 1-point lead and out of a Miami timeout. We were talking about the length of the Hurricanes. Look at this offensive set they've got. Darius Adams and Ryan Brown essentially with the guards with Eric Swope.
Well, and Coach Larinaga talked to us about that too. He has a lot of guys playing out of position, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that they really were not expecting Shane Larkin to enter his name into the NBA draft. So having to come up with different lineups all year has been Coach Larinaga.
The Panther double team collapsed, and Kirk called for 3 seconds. A defensive stand by the Panthers turns it over. And when we come back, this back-and-forth ball game continues. We've seen just about everything here in the first 13 minutes at Coral Gables. Well, given some of the draws you could have in college basketball, this one's not bad here tonight in our Ally Bank game summary from Coral Gables. It's a tight fit, Corey.
It really is, and of course a good start for both teams offensively, 47 and 40% from the field respectively, but it's the turnovers, already 11 turnovers combined for both teams. That's really been the story. 6 for the Panthers, and they're one of the best in the country of taking care of the basketball, so that's been a bit shocking, and one of the reasons Miami's been able to stay in this early.
Now, Pittsburgh is a +1 turnover margin in conference play, so for them to be behind in that or the rebounding category really is a surprise at any juncture in a ball game, given the veteran nature of Jamie Dixon's team. Patterson, as they break the press into the corner, and a Newkirk jump shot is no good. Or beg your pardon, that's Chris Jones, who's come on the floor. 6'6" redshirt freshman from New Jersey for the first time. With Newkirk, Patterson, Zana, and the freshman Michael Young. Meanwhile, Miami with the 1-point deficit, and the carry called on Darius Adams will turn it over for the Hurricanes, and that'll bring LeCompte back into the ball game for Coach Larrañaga to spell Davon Reed. A little bit of a chess match between a 64-year-old native of the Bronx and Jamie Dixon at 48 years of age from North Hollywood, California. We're seeing the pieces go back and forth on the board here a little bit, aren't we?
You calling this an East Coast, West Coast battle? We got
no. Just thinking of how Larrañaga hadn't really pressed it on tonight presses.
Well, and you have to mix it up, and that's one of the things. Our man Slice told us, you know, we're talking about Pittsburgh coaching staff. They told us one thing about Jim Larrañaga, he's always going to throw something at you. You don't know what to expect with him, and of course he did that today with the full-court zone pressure. And I've watched Miami all year. I don't think I've seen it once.
Patterson, a jump shot, no good. And Wright gives the Panthers a second try. Newkirk had a notion, didn't take it. Patterson, baseline, layup, batted away at the rim by a combination of Kirk and Swope. Still a 1-point Pittsburgh lead. Inside, and Swope the dunk.
Great pass by Ryan Brown off the penetration, understanding that Pitt was going to take him away, but they couldn't cover the backside, delivers it nicely, and Swope, of course, a great athlete, able to go over top and finish.
Senior from Lake Elsinore, California, gives Miami back the lead. Here's Newkirk to Patterson. Skip pass to Wright. On the drive, tried to get it to Young. Shot clock down to 7. Patterson on the drive. Miss. Young the rebound and basket. Michael Young with a couple of second chance field goals for his 4 points in the first half. And now they go back and forth on possessions. Pittsburgh in the lead. Under 5 to go in the first half. Ryan Brown and Miami being patient. Lob. Swope the catch and dunk. A couple of plays by Eric Swope now, Corey.
Well, we talked about the alley-oop pass from LeCompte to Reed earlier. However, with Eric Swope, you can pretty much throw it anywhere in the building, and he can go get it. And he showed us that on that last play.
Miami regains the lead. Zana. Boy, handles it well for a big guy, doesn't he?
He does, but right now, this Miami defense giving no driving lanes for Lamar Patterson, who loves to get inside that paint, but they have really kept him out of there.
3 ball by Young. Hit the side of the glass, and Brown recovers it. Miami front court. Adams gets bottled up in a double team. And now they calm down as we go inside of 4 minutes to play first half. LeCompte against the rookie Newkirk. Brown the 3. Good. Ryan Brown with 6. His 38th triple of the year.
And that's a defensive breakdown right there. You don't run out to Donovan Kirk and leave Ryan Brown wide open on the opposite side. Kirk can make shots, but you much prefer to him take that shot compared to Ryan Brown, who's a dead-eye three-point shooter.
Miami back in front 4. Patterson tried to whip it to Zana, and Pittsburgh turns it over.
And Ryan Brown turning the corner, finding his man, Eric Swope. Come fly with me, says Swope, to put Miami up to a 4-point lead. We talk about defensive breakdowns as we're back here in Miami, and you think about it, you have to know your scouting report. As you see, as the play develops, Lamar Patterson has to know once Donovan Kirk catches the ball at the top of the key, right? Lamar Patterson comes off of his man, and when that man is Ryan Brown, you cannot leave the shooter, Ryan Brown, wide open, this much room in the corner, expecting someone to get to yours. You have to know the scouting report. Know that Donovan Kirk won't hurt you from behind the line. Ryan Brown will kill you from behind there.
And he's having a pretty good first half in a lot of the intangible categories that Jim Larinaga asked him to score in.
Absolutely. And Ryan Brown, Larinaga told us he's happy with Ryan Brown's progress. He doesn't feel that everyone on the team has played their role, but from the standpoint of Ryan Brown and what he's done growing into the role of being their leading scorer and playmaker compared to where he was last year as the seventh man on that, of course, great Miami team.
Pittsburgh now in the zone again. And LeCompte a three. Scramble inside, and Robinson the rebound. Under 3 to go in this first half. 4-point lead for Miami. And Patterson fouled by Darius Adams. That is his second. He and Jacari, the two Hurricanes, with a pair. And Davon Reed will get into the lineup now for Miami to replace Adams, the redshirt grad student from Apex, North Carolina. There's Reed, the 6'6" freshman, Princeton, New Jersey.
Miami's still in that zone, but they're communicating. It's one of the things that Coach Larinaga preaches to his team. We got to hear you talk, and I need you guys talking to each other. And right now, they're letting everybody know where is Lamar Patterson. They pay special attention to him on the floor, and right now, he does not have a field goal to start this game.
Robinson the drive, and the foul is on Ryan Brown. His first, and now 7 on Miami with 2:27 to play. Boy, Lamar Patterson, so far, just 3 of 4 line shooting, and you see the numbers from the last 2 ball games. 12 points, 7 of 28 from the floor. And you're talking about the 4th best scorer in the ACC, 5th in assists, tied for 7th in steals, 5th in field goal percentage, 9th in free throw percentage. This is as good a player as the league's got.
Absolutely. He does it all. He does it all for the Panthers. And he's in a scenario right now where, of course, everyone feels as though they have to take him out of the game. He's going to get that special attention. This is the point during the season where you need your teammates really to step up and take on some of that burden, because the more shots Cameron Wright and James Robinson and Talib Zanna make, now they can't key as much on Lamar Patterson. He's able to, but every time he gets the ball right now, he's got 10 eyes on him. Everyone in that opposing team knows where he is, and they're not giving him anything easy.
A rare miss by Robinson at the line. And so it stays a 4-point ball game. James Robinson, 84% at the stripe this year. Second one. Good. He only had a point in their loss on Saturday against Virginia. All the scoring options for Pittsburgh on Super Bowl Sunday dried up against the Cavaliers. And give Tony Bennett's team credit. Brogdon hit a great shot, but they played well.
But through that, you can look at and see those two teams are very similar.
Oh, yeah.
You can't say one's better than the other one. You have to win on a game-winning 3. That doesn't make you better than the other team. That makes you evenly matched. And you could say the same for Syracuse and Duke, who played the night before. I mean, 2 great ACC games over the weekend, no question.
7 to shoot and under 2 minutes to play. 3-ball Adams. Or Kelly, beg your pardon. James Kelly on the floor. It rims out. Here's Patterson back for Cameron Wright. And Young the rebound. Pittsburgh looking for an outlet. Jamel Artis scoop. Won't go, and Kelly ripped it away, and a held ball will go to Miami on possession. James Kelly, who's been battling an ankle injury that he suffered in the first half of the Syracuse game 10 days ago, or back 2 weeks ago, a junior college transfer from Ann Arbor, Michigan, is trying to get his minutes back that he lost in missing a couple ball games.
And of course, when you haven't been playing because of injury, you've lost the rhythm. So trying to get back, especially in the offensive rhythm, this guy doesn't need any help. Manu LeCompte getting into the lane once again, and that's one of the reasons Jim Larinaga loves him so much. He's fearless attacking the paint. Not a big guy, but he gets into that paint, and he's attacking, always putting the pressure on the opposing team's defense.
Josh Newkirk just picked up his 3rd foul of this first half. And that's 9 now against Pittsburgh. And LeCompte, the free throw. His only points have come at the line. And so Newkirk will come out and Robinson checks in.
The importance of that, and many won't realize it, is simply because he's the guy that spells everyone, spells James Robinson, allows James Robinson to be able to go out and play 30 minutes and not be tired.
Yep.
But, you know, with Newkirk being in foul trouble, now Robinson has to play more minutes, putting more pressure on him to be able to perform, especially when it gets to be clutch time.
LeCompte hits the free throw. Miami a 5-point lead under 90 seconds to play in this first half. Excellent performance by Larenega's team here in the opening 20 minutes. Their zone has frustrated the Panthers. Cameron Wright, Pitt's leading scorer. And Zana had it poked away. It'll stay with Pittsburgh with 16 on the shot clock. Mentally, Corey, this has got to be taxing on Talib Zana, a senior, and this Pittsburgh team.
It is simply because you know when you're not playing well, and of course whenever you lose and things happen that don't go in your direction, no, that's favorable. Getting Lamar Patterson on the board with from the three-point line, that definitely helps, and of course brings the game to within 2. But he's the guy that if he gets his confidence going, and he may be struggling with it a little bit, but he's such a good player, he does everything else even when he's not scoring. But he starts scoring, Miami could be in trouble.
2-point game. Miami the lead. LeCompte. Here's Reed. Fall away 2. Won't go. Rebounds Zana. Shot clock and game clock are even as we wind down this first half. And James Robinson. And it looks like Pittsburgh's going to wind the thing down to close the first 20 minutes.
Jamie Dixon wants to make sure they get a quality shot and also not give Miami the basketball back to have any momentum going into the second half. So if Pitt's able to come away with the score here and tie the game, the momentum definitely shifts to their favor.
Right on the drive. Patterson shoots for 3 and the lead. Lamar Patterson hits back-to-back threes and sends the Panthers to the locker room with the lead.
Was that me who said he may be struggling with his confidence?
I think it was.
I was wrong. No question about that. Lamar Patterson knocking down 2 threes on back-to-back possessions for the Panthers to put them to give them great momentum going into halftime and now give them a 1-point lead.
Jim Larenega's team had it right there going to the final minute of the first half. And then Lamar Patterson showed up, Corey.
Well, first they forgot about Lamar Patterson way over here in the corner. You see, you've got to find that guy. 21's number 1 on the scouting report. You have to know where he is. And then, of course, the buzzer beater right here. Great job, pump fake. Let Brian Brown fly past. Knock down the 3 heading into the locker room. No, Corey, I'm not having any issues with my confidence.
Apparently not. 29-28 the lead. Pitt head coach Jamie Dixon good enough to stop by on the way to the locker room. A bit of a flurry there to the finish, Coach.
Yeah, a couple threes. You know, we're missing a lot of layups. You know, I feel like we're doing pretty good stuff offensively, but we just got to finish better. Defensively, the zone helped us a little bit at the end, but the rebounding hurt us early. Got that rectified a bit as the game went on, but we got some things to improve on, no question.
And, Coach, it seems to be no panic in your team. Things not going their way early, but they come back always fighting at the end of the first half.
Yeah, we did. It was good to see because we had the foul trouble, obviously, and, you know, we've just got to play through that, and I think we're playing pretty good defense otherwise.
Coach, thank you.
All right, thanks.
29-28, Pittsburgh with the lead at halftime, and boy, what a finish for Lamar Patterson. The Canes had a lot of first half momentum, but the senior All-ACC product answered the bell as the horn sounds to end the half. Stay tuned. Halftime from Coral Gables coming up right after this.
People once thought bigger meant stronger. Then a man weighing 135 pounds destroyed that notion, proving that might can be light. Defying convention is also the Mazda way, and why the all-new Mazda 3 was created with Skyactiv technology, so it's lighter yet stronger and more nimble, with an engine that punches above its weight. This is the all-new Mazda 3. What do you drive?
Welcome to the Mazda Halftime Report.
Welcome into the Mazda Halftime Report. I'm Tony Collins. Coming up, we'll join the ESPN Buzzer Beater Network in progress to keep you up to date with all the action going on tonight. Buzzer Beater features unlimited live cut-ins, highlights, and analysis from the biggest matchups throughout college hoops. But first, it's time to hash it out, presented by Mazda. And for that, we send it over to the college basketball scoreboard crew. Guys?
Suleiman. Gotta go there. And it's hard. Oh, he tried to jam it for the win. He tried to jam it for the win and ripped it off the back of the rim. Cook. And Syracuse wins it.
We've had a lot of games in here that have been great, but there's never been a game as good as this one.
Syracuse, the new unanimous #1, and they deserve it after that big win Saturday in the Carrier Dome against Duke, one of the all-timers. But where does it rank among some of the all-time great games in history? Here to hash it out, presented by Mazda, Jay Williams and Seth Greenberg. Guys, what's the best game you guys ever saw?
Thanks, Chris. Carrier Dome, 35,000 people, college game day, 2 legendary coaches, great plays, great finishes. But Jay, will I ask you, what's the best game you ever saw?
Well, Coach, you heard Jim Boeheim say in the post-game interview, there's never been a game as good as this one at the Carrier Dome. Syracuse fans, let me bring it back to March 12th, 2009 at the Madison Square Garden against UConn. The controversial shot with Eric Devendorf, it did not count. This game goes into 6 OTs. How about the final score for Syracuse fans? 127-117. Johnny Flynn, 34 points. Paul Harris, 29 points, 22 rebounds. A.J. Price for UConn playing 61 minutes. Coach, I remember being in studio, drenched in sweat, because the time this game was over, I had popped up and down my seat so much. By far, one of the best games I've ever seen.
Well, I go back to 1992. Duke, Kentucky.
A Duke highlight.
No doubt about it. You're talking about one of the great games in the history of college basketball. You're talking about 2 blue blood programs coming down to the last play. Not just any play. A perfect pass, a great catch, and the patience to finish the play by Christian Laettner. Talk about great players. Jamal Mashburn, Bobby Hurley, Grant Hill, and Laettner coming up with the finishing play. End-to-end action, 2 legendary Hall of Fame coaches, and a game that put Duke in the Final Four. Doesn't get any better than that.
Clearly, 2 great games, but neither of you were a part of those games. What's the best game you guys ever played in or coached in, Jay?
Well, unfortunately for Maryland fans, but fortunate enough for me, we go back to 2001, people. It's called the Miracle Minute. I can't tell you what happened. All I know is I got Steve Blake fouled out. Yes, credit to Steve Blake. He had locked me up that entire game. Drew Nicholas gave me a little bunny right there. I was able to get still, knock down a 3. We foul him, goes to the free throw line, misses 2 threes, come down again. We're able to do a miraculous comeback. Nate James gets a tick. Game goes into overtime. We win that game.
Jay, Will, you were balling in that.
I got hot. I don't know what you want from me.
You actually played.
I couldn't make a free throw, but a contested 3 I can do.
What about you as a coach?
2011, college game day. You're talking about Duke, Virginia Tech, Castle Coliseum, Digger Phelps, Reese Davis, Jay Billis. And this was a great basketball game, a 40-minute basketball game. Terrell Bell makes a huge 3 right in front of our bench. We get a final game stop. And more importantly, we thought at the end of that basketball game, we were on our way to the NCAA tournament. Dickie V said, get my dancing shoes ready. My 3 daughters right on the floor. I'll tell you, that was a great day for Virginia Tech. Great day for the Greenberg family. Unfortunately, the dancing shoes I bought, I never got a chance to wear.
Well, you're dancing now, my man.
Let's find out what some people said on the on Twitter. And, of course, we always encourage your involvement here. #hashtag. Look at Doug McDermott. Jay,
Dougie Fresh. I don't know. Dougie Fresh hit a game winner the other day.
Ooh, the big-time shot.
Agreeing with you in that 6 overtime game there at the Guard. NC State chiming in, and, of course, the 1983 National Championship game. We all remember it, one of the best. You can't argue with that. And then Marty Sullivan, Memphis and Kansas in the Final Four in San Antonio, except for Chalmers hitting that shot, so he must be a Memphis fan. Great game. #HashItOut.
Thanks, guys. All right, as promised, let's get you updated with everything that is going on tonight and join the Buzzer Beater Network in progress. Just a reminder that Buzzer Beater is available through participating TV providers and live on Watch ESPN. Enjoy.
Around the country right now, your Michigan Wolverines, Tim, all over Nebraska.
Well, look at the bench spark down at the bottom. Zach Irvin, 16 points in the first half. And Glenn Robinson Jr. has had his best offensive game of the season. He's capable of these type of numbers, and if he can emerge as a legitimate 15 to 17 point scorer, then Michigan, to me, has Final Four potential, which is amazing considering last year they had the best backcourt in the nation with Tim Hardaway of the Utah Jazz and Tim Hardaway of the Knicks and Trey Burke of the Utah Jazz.
Started 6-4, lost Mitch McGary for the season, and just keep on winning. Joel Embiid of Kansas tells Jeff Goodman that he may not go pro after his freshman season. Let's hear from Jeff.
Kansas freshman Joel Embiid may come back to school after all. The 7-footer from Cameroon told me that he's strongly considering coming back for his sophomore season. Says he doesn't feel quite ready necessarily to go to the NBA, despite the fact that most NBA executives have him as a lock top 3 pick, maybe even the #1 overall pick in the NBA draft in June. The Cameroon native says his family does not need the money. He can take the time to basically be ready when he gets to the NBA to make an impact. He loves college basketball, loves playing at Kansas, and said he'll make the decision at the end of the season. But again, he is no lock to go to the NBA after this season, strongly considering coming back to Kansas for another year, and that'll make Jayhawk fans quite happy to hear if that happens.
Live action now, and our first look at Frank Martin's team coming off a loss at Mississippi, in which they blew a 15-point second-half lead. It was almost going to be 2 straight wins after knocking off Texas A&M by 28 a week ago. South Carolina hosting Auburn, a team that's won 2 straight.
Impressive home win. All 5 starters were in double figures, and I would have to say that Tony Barbee is on the hottest seat of all of the coaches in the SEC.
Eaglettes or something. Says he was good.
Rebound comes down to the Tigers. Granger comes up with it.
South Carolina doing a good job scoring in the paint, but a better job being done by Auburn on second chance opportunities.
Ringer picks up his first. With this Auburn backcourt, you can certainly see why Harrell and Denson, averaging right at 20 points per contest coming in. They are explosive and lightning fast.
And what I like about Denson, he's not afraid to take some contact. He's an excellent free throw shooter, especially down the clutch. A 47% field goal shooter, but only about a 66% at the line.
2 for 3 from the stripe.
When you need him to make a free throw in the final 4 minutes of the game, he's been almost automatic.
Denson now with 9. South Carolina trailing by 3. Here's that 3-quarter court trapping pressure. Seven to play in our first half here in Columbia.
Almost had it there.
Williams, the 3 ball, too strong. Here comes Auburn. Denson in the paint and off the glass with a left hand. He now has 11.
Showing you the versatility, the speed there to get down the floor, not able to stop the basketball, and the lefty scores in transition.
Inside, Desmond Ringer. And the jump ball, arrow favors the Tigers.
Against the 2-guard front, you're going to be able to get the ball in the middle. Ringer's got to do that, but on the other end, a long rebound, all that able to do is Denson's able to take that in transition. Nobody stopped the ball. That's easy for him.
Auburn leads the overall series between these two, 20-14. Really played some good games against the Gamecocks as of late. This will be the first of 2 meetings this season.
First time we've seen a little 2-3 zone out of South Carolina. You have to know where the shooters are. KT Harrell and Chris Denson.
Harrell wanted it, couldn't pull the trigger with 10 to shoot. Nice pass inside for the jam.
When you're concerned about the perimeter, he's going to allow some avenues to drive. Post guys have got to be on alert. That's a very nice pass and a better finish.
Largest lead of the game for Auburn after the Granger flush. Take another look at this one, Stan.
Watch this. There's great spacing. Somebody flashes to the middle, and then watch the gap there. Then a nice little bounce pass. 1, 2, 3 guys converge on the ball. Put the ball where the big guy can catch it. He'll finish the play. That's really nice half-court basketball.
Gamecocks already in the bonus. Just over 5 to play in our first half. Barrera 67% from the line. It's back to a 6-point lead.
More full court pressure by South Carolina, trying to maybe make Auburn burn some time, force them into a turnover, take them out of their half-court rhythm. Plenty of time on the clock, 22 seconds to go.
Here's Denson again, top of the key, defended by Thornwell. And now baseline, the runner. Over and back, or did they call the foul? Over and back. South Carolina basketball. Tony Barbie didn't like it.
He's saying the ball was initiated by South Carolina. Let's take a look. Long rebound.
We hope you enjoyed the fast action coverage from ESPN's Buzzer Beater Network. We will continue to provide this service Wednesday nights and all day Saturdays throughout the college basketball season. That'll do it for this Mazda Halftime Report. I'm Tony Collins. Enjoy the second half.
So.
Pittsburgh, we get ready to go to second half action. What are you looking for here in the early stages of this second 20 minutes?
Well, I'm interested to see how Lamar Patterson reacts after knocking down the 2 threes and getting some rhythm going. How does he attack coming into the second half against this Miami defense? And also, what will Jim Larinaga do unexpectedly that we haven't seen in the first half? Because he surprises with the full court pressure throughout the first half.
Right, the game's leading scorer with 10. Adams had a great first half for Miami, who starts in the zone. Here's Robinson, and now Patterson. Cameron Wright. Quickly Young for a baseline jumper. Adams the rebound for Miami.
Pittsburgh is okay with that shot. Michael Young, a very good shooter for a big, and he's able to make those. So Pittsburgh fine with him trying to knock that shot.
And Miami's fine with Brown firing threes, even though that one didn't go.
Well, they want him to get as many looks from beyond the arc as he possibly can.
Here's Wright, a pull-up jumper. And Brown the rebound. So both teams have misfired in their opening 3 possessions combined.
And that's one of the things Miami's done well. They've kept Pittsburgh off of the offensive glass. Pitt always very good attacking the offensive glass and getting extra opportunities. And Miami's done a good job keeping them away from that in the first half.
Talib Zana's second and the first on Pittsburgh here in the second half. So a fresh shot clock with about a minute gone here in half number 2. This is a big ball game for Pittsburgh. It might be even bigger for Miami in the perspective of these single games. And one of the things they're finding out in the new ACC, the value of a single game win. Here's Adams for 3. And batted around, and another chance for the Kings.
And great hustle by LeCompte to come up with that. Came from a long way to get that offensive rebound. Guards don't get them much, but then the long ones, that's when the point guards get them.
Adams shoots for the lead again. Can't hit the wide open triple. So Pittsburgh dodges 2 looks there. James Robinson, the sophomore, directs the offense. Patterson on LeCompte. That's got to be favorable for him. Young to Wright. Soft jumper won't go. Robinson can't find the rebound. Adams does for Miami. It's almost like a fight when they're kind of feeling each other out here in the first couple minutes, isn't it?
And that's what you expect to see at the beginning of the game. But here in the second half, you guys normally are more aggressive in their attack. And
LeCompte may be whistled for an offensive foul. He is. So Manu LeCompte, the freshman from Belgium, his second, the first on Miami. Corey, we're hearing more and more. Jim Larinaga talked about it today. The single game in the ACC in this 18-game schedule, the value of it, you really can't comprehend, can you?
Well, we're past game 9 now, so we're midway through ACC season. And when you think about it now, everything is determined. There's no more, hey, guys, it's a marathon, not a sprint. No, it's a sprint. Every time out now is a sprint because you have to be able to make up ground if you're behind, and you have to be able to stay atop if you're one of those top teams. So from this standpoint, every game becomes important.
Here's Sana working his way to the basket. Can't finish. Ja'Carry the rebound. And that being said, here's a single game tonight of 2 teams that very well are going to battle. And Miami's got a chance in the month of February. Their front-end conference schedule was pretty arduous. Their back end might be a little more friendly to a growing basketball team. Brown can't buy one. We've gone 3 minutes and no points in the second half. Patterson, a catch and shoot. Deep 3 is short. And out of bounds, it'll go to Miami.
And when you think about that, as you look at this group at the top, Pitt needs a win because they have to keep pace. When you look at Duke at 7-3, Virginia, Syracuse, they can't fall lower than that. And now at this point, you also have to think about that seeding in the ACC tournament.
Absolutely.
And that's what becomes so important. You don't want to have to play extra days. So for Pitt, every game becomes important now because you have to stay afloat in that top 4 in the ACC because Clemson's right on their heels.
2 teams are 0 for 9 to start this second half. LeCompte works off that Kirk screen. Tried to bounce it to Brown. Wright challenged it. 10 to shoot. Here's Adams on the drive. Scoop. And can't score. Ja'Carry's tap, no good. But the rebound to the big man. And now a new shot clock for Miami. Adams was feeling it.
Coaches say, well, we can't score, we don't let them score either. And that's what we've seen here in this in the first 4 minutes of this second half. Neither team been able to scratch the scoreboard.
Adams got tied up by James Robinson. Possession will stay with Miami with 13 to shoot. Scoreless through the first 4:02 of the second half. Back to Miami after this. ACC game is brought to you in part by Hardee's Chicken Tender Box. 1-point lead for Pittsburgh. The two teams have combined to miss their last 13 shots from the floor, but this one is tight. With Corey Alexander, Wes Durham, our great crew. Time for tonight's ACC trivia question presented by Toyota. Miami's held 714 of their last 715 under 100. How about this stat? Who was the last team to score 100 on the Canes?
I have absolutely, positively no idea.
715 is a long time. ACC team, I've got to believe. When you think?
Honestly, well, yeah, I mean, you would think it was ACC team. It would have to have been a bad Miami team because Jim Larinaga is not giving up 100. I know that.
Runner by LeCon, shot clock violation. Out of the hell ball. So still a 1-point ball game. And the first 4:16 is scoreless. Here is Zana into the lineup to replace Derek Randall, who came in during the timeout. So the Rutgers transfer from Brooklyn got a cup of coffee. Jamel Artis is back. First time we've seen the freshman from Baltimore in the second half.
Well, I say this about the second half, and although neither team has scored, Pitt has gotten the shots that they want. Miami has not. A shot clock violation on the last possession. And so from that standpoint, if there's an advantage and no one scoring, I think it may have to be in Pitt's favor simply because they're getting the looks that they want.
Patterson slips it to Wright. 10 to shoot. Zana trying to help Robinson. Zana at 18 feet. Nope. Slapped around. Cameron Wright the rebound. Almost 5 minutes gone second half, and both teams are scoreless. Pittsburgh is probing, and now Patterson a three. Got it. He scored Pittsburgh's last 9 points as Lamar Patterson. He's got a dozen.
And all from behind the three-point line. And, of course, he's capable of knocking those down, but that's not his strength. So from that standpoint, he's had to change his game really against Miami to be successful, but done it from behind the arc.
4-point lead. LeCon to Adams for three to answer. Cannot. Knocked out of there. Ryan Brown in front of our location saves it to LeCon. And he'll knock the jumper down.
And the great hustle by Ryan Brown gets Miami 2 points.
Yep.
And that's the type of energy and effort that Coach Larinaga wants to see. He's talked about his team's effort. And he wants to make sure that that's the one thing that they're able to do on a consistent basis.
In the lane, Zana. Nice move around Jakiri for the basket. 5 for Talib Zana.
Well, now we know the seal is broken. They must have put a new seal on in the second half on both baskets. They had to get those broken.
Pittsburgh in the zone now, Corey. Eric Swope on the floor for Coach Larinaga. Adams and Jakiri, and that pass is thrown away by Adams. Unforced error. Robinson, Jamel Artis had it blocked by Swope, but a whistle and a foul before the shot.
Ryan Brown coming up with a huge hustle play. I'm ready to catch him at this point, thinking he's about to come across the scores table, but because of it, LeConte gets a nice little pull-up jump shot. And when teams, of course, when you have a hustle play like that, defense is scrambling around, so you can often find yourself into an easy look at the basket, but you got to credit Ryan Brown, the senior, for just giving the extra effort to save that from going out of bounds.
First free throw of the night for Jamel Artis is good. This is a guy, Corey, as I was watching Pitt play earlier in the year, this is one of those guys, Artis, that you kind of file away and say, well, remember that guy who averaged, 5 points and 3 rebounds and played about 15 minutes a game? Well, when you think about the guys leaving the Panther program, this is a guy who will be a principal in next year's Pittsburgh team.
Agreed. And Artis had a good game against Virginia. He was their leading scorer and really had an opportunity to be the hero. He got the offensive rebound, unable to finish it, but played a big game against them with Lamar Patterson, and none of the usual suspects were able to get it done.
Had 11 points, 7 rebounds in 24 minutes, which was a season high. And again, the injury to Deron Johnson and compounded with Zana's ankle turn the other day forced Artis on the floor for more minutes. LeConte can't hit the layup. 3 on none, and Josh Newkirk lost it on the way up and still scored it. First points for Newkirk.
That's it. Newkirk, fortunate he was able to gather that one, because you talk about he has not had a great game, but that could have been really ugly if he was unable to finish that. Newkirk finding a way. James Robinson giving the ball up. Newkirk with Darius Adams with the trick shot, giving Pitt a 7-point lead.
Motel 6 is the presenting sponsor of ACC basketball on Fox Sports South. Second half here at Coral Gables. Kind of been an interesting turn. These two teams went scoreless the first 6 minutes of the second half, and boy, Lamar Patterson and his crew have gotten Pittsburgh righted here. Field goal numbers aren't real pretty, though, Court.
They're not. Now 38 and 34%. Both teams shooting over 40% in the first half. The second half definitely hurt the field goal percentage, but right now Pitt really getting the job done defensively, just keeping Miami away from anything comfortable on the offensive end.
Miami's gone 10.5 minutes with one field goal, to their credit, and find themselves at their largest deficit of the ball game, down 7 points. Ryan Brown trying to change that, and does.
And just like Lamar Patterson for Pittsburgh, Ryan Brown, the senior leader for Miami, comes out and really gets them going in attack of the basket. We often see him shooting the three-pointer, but he's a great athlete and, of course, able to attack at any time.
Newkirk forced it, and on the rebound, there's a foul called. And it's on Donovan Kirk. 6'9" grad student, transfer, if you will, from DePaul. Started his career at Miami. His first and the third on the Canes here in the second half. And we get substitutions as Robinson and Artis check out. Michael Young has come back in. Cameron Wright, Lamar Patterson, and Newkirk on the floor. And here's Wright, who up until a moment ago was the game's leading scorer for Pittsburgh. Rafael Akpajori on the floor for the first time for Miami, playing inside. Here's Young. Jump shot no good, and Reed the backside rebound. Corey, I got to believe the next 3-4 minutes pretty critical for Miami, aren't they?
They are, and just for them to be able to get some type of offensive flow against Pitt's defense.
And there's an offensive foul. Gary Maxwell whistles Akpajori, the 23-year-old senior from Nigeria, with his first and the fourth on Miami of this half. He did not play in Saturday's win over Norfolk State. Did play 5 minutes in their tough loss at Maryland. Did Akpajori, but called on for duty here now and draws the offensive foul and a turnover for Miami. So Pitt with a window here to push the 5-point lead. Panthers trailed much of the first half until the heroics of Patterson. The last 2 possessions. Nice pass, Patterson, and a travel on Michael Young. That'll get us to another timeout. Well, both teams with unforced errors at their respective ends of the floor. But Pittsburgh still holding to a 5-point lead tonight in South Florida.
Let's take a look at our direct auto insurance coverage of the game, and it's Eric Swope getting back on defense, coming up with a huge block for the Canes, and it turns into 3 points at the other end as they're able to get it out. Ryan Brown with the pass, Devon Reed knocking down the 3, and the energy, the effort that Jim Larinaga wanted to see from the Canes.
Well, and Miami now is frustrated at the offensive end of the floor, and in these last 2 possessions, unforced errors for each school. But the Canes have it back after the travel by Michael Young a moment ago. 18 combined turnovers in the ball game, and there's a foul on Young.
And Young got the foul, but he also got hit below the belt, and so he just had a double whammy on that one. As LeCompte comes off, the left arm comes out, and you see Young gets hit in the place where no young man wants to get hit.
Freshman from Duquesne, PA, his first 2 now on Pittsburgh. Brown in that high weave, and Patterson going to be tagged with the reach in. Well, Lamar Patterson, we said at the top, he's top 10 in 5 categories. But when you think of a 6'5" senior, 4th in scoring, 5th in assists, tied for 7th in steals is the sneaky stat, right? He's a very good defender. Is he one of the better defenders in the league?
I'm not going to put him as one of the better defenders in the league because, honestly, the 2 guys out front, James Robinson and Cameron Wright, they're better defenders than Lamar Patterson. You know, and he's the guy that really benefits off of what they do defensively, but he's great at anticipating plays, getting in passing lanes. But the thing I love most about him, his ability to pass the basketball, I think, just separates him from a lot of guys.
Zone by Pitt, 7 to shoot. LeCompte almost had it poked by Robinson. Here's Reed sneaking baseline. Flying shot, rimmed out. Young the rebound. 5-point lead. almost to the midway point of the second half. Robinson at 2. Won't go. And a rebound, LeConte. Behind the back dribble. Skips it to Reed. And LeConte the long rebound. Stick back over Zana, good.
I'll tell you, one guy who's brought it for the Canes is LeConte in the second half. A great push in transition to get Reed a wide open look. But more importantly, the presence of mind to come up with the offensive rebound and understand he had an advantage to be able to attack the rim.
Both teams struggling to score. It's a 3-point game now. Miami stays in that matchup look. Zana the screen for Wright. Patterson against Reed. That's a tough matchup for Lamar Patterson because of Reed's size. Put it on the floor, stripped of him. Lead for Ryan Brown. Eludes Robinson, layup good. 10 for Ryan Brown. 4 straight double-figure games for the Hinesville, Georgia senior. And a Jamie Dixon timeout.
And just like that, Miami back in the game. And, of course, Manu LeConte having a lot to do with that. A great push to get out of transition. Even better pass to Devon Reed. Unable to finish. But as LeConte's getting back on defense, has the presence of mind to come in offensive rebound. And then, of course, Ryan Brown with the great hands coming up with the steal. Shielding off James Robinson and able to finish. And just like that, Miami's back within 1.
Well, Jim Larinaga won't call it rebuilding, but you can tell they're resetting this program a little bit. He's done a marvelous job. Last year was just an incredible season for the Canes, but when you think about a guy who signed a contract extension through 2022, Corey, he's scrapping and fighting and told his team, hey, look, we're 2-6 in the league. We got to treat February as if we're on the upswing. And you talked about it at the top. He sincerely believes this team, if they can come together, can do some things here.
Well, he does. And, of course, and they have a schedule now in the ACC that is more favorable.
Yep.
They've played a tough schedule throughout the first half of the ACC season. They played Syracuse twice. They played Duke. They've had a tough stretch. So, from that standpoint, they have a much more favorable conference schedule at this point, and he feels as though they're getting better.
They got 4 of 6 at home starting tonight. Now, they're 0-4 in the league at home this year. They lost to Virginia Tech in early December. Florida State, Duke, and Syracuse. So the 4 home games they played, and count 5 here tonight, have been no joke. But down 1 and 7 to shoot for the Panthers, and a deep 3 from Patterson is off the mark. And Wright ripped it away from Ja'Carry, and it was touched last by Miami. Ray Natilli and Gary Maxwell meet on the topic, and it's awarded to the Panthers. And all of a sudden, Miami's defense has kind of had the upper hand here.
And that's normally the case. You make a couple shots and your defensive effort picks up. Coaches don't like it, but it's really just a natural thing. You feel a lot better about yourself and your team when you're getting the job done offensively and you're willing to put in more effort on the defensive end.
9:02 to go, and Tonye Ja'Carry draws his 4th. And that is 5 now against Miami.
And that's big because he does so much as far as intangibles for Miami. It doesn't always show up in the box scores, but he's a guy that they really need to have on the floor in order to be successful because of what he does defensively, what he does rebounding. Yep. But he's a very good passer from the high post, especially when you see Pitt playing in the zone.
Robinson put it all the way into the backcourt where Patterson handles it. Under 9 to go now. 1-point game. Artis. Cameron Wright carried him in the first half scoring. Here's Zana, foul line jumper, good for Talib Zana.
And it's a definite advantage to have a guy, you're talking about a post player who can come to that mid-range and the free throw line and knock down shots against the zone because, of course, everyone wants to attack that point. But if you can raise Ja'Carry out of the middle, it opens up things on the back line.
Brown a deep 3. Rebounded to Artis. Pittsburgh tries to force the issue. Ooh, Patterson and Brown's a nice matchup. Wright, the shot fake. And a whistle and foul call. It's on Darius Adams. It'll be his 3rd, Corey, and 6 now in Miami.
This area is where everyone wants to attack when you're talking about playing against a zone. It's in the middle of the floor. Talib Zana attacks right there, and with his size, able to shoot over top of Ryan Brown, and it's such an advantage to have bigs that can knock down shots in the middle of the lane because it's hard to zone teams that can do that.
Yep. And throughout his career, 11 years as the head coach at Pittsburgh, Jamie Dixon's teams have oftentimes been very good against zones.
Well, playing in the Big East for the majority of his career, he's had to be successful against zones because so many teams in the Big East play zone.
Patterson took it away and can't score on the stick back, and then Artis commits the foul. Second on Jamel Artis. Timeout at Coral Gables. They are battling tonight. 3-point game. Pittsburgh leads Miami under 8 to go here at Coral Gables. And a look at Ocean Drive. I don't see any snowplows out there tonight.
No, I think they let them all go home. Took the night off.
All right, here's our ACC Toyota trivia question. Miami has held 714 of the last 715 opponents. By the way, very appropriate question to ask on Hank Aaron's 80th birthday. Under 100 points. Who was the last team to score 100? And you and I throwing our arms up here, right?
I'm stumped. I have no idea.
Carolina, you're right.
During the Ty Lawson era.
That's it. January 31st, 07.
I guessed that. I wasn't right because that was
you
a guess.
You did guess it.
You guessed Carolina.
I did guess Carolina.
I just said during the Ty Lawson era, and I could imagine that. And that was not a good Miami team. And it was a very good North Carolina team.
Ooh. That was the 94-foot Carolina team.
Yeah.
And knocked out of bounds as Reed went to the rim. Boy, Pittsburgh has covered up the iron here in half two. Man, look at that, Corey. How many open shots have we seen tonight?
Well, you haven't seen many for Miami, I tell you that. Pitt has had a number they were unable to knock down, but Miami having a challenge every opportunity down the floor. And you think about just the points that they've gotten in the second half. The hustle play by Ryan Brown to get LeCompte the free throw line jump shot.
Yep.
Fast break points. But when they've had to play against Pitt's set defense, they've had very little success.
Miami just 4 of 15 from the floor here in the second half.
And Pitt's been no juggernaut.
No. Chris Jones, who played 2 first-half minutes for Coach Dixon, back on the floor for the Panthers. Robinson, Artis, Zana, and Patterson fill out the lineup card for Jamie Dixon. Jones to Artis, who Patterson clutched 6 to shoot. Artis will try the 3. And Zana, the long rebound on the left baseline.
Well, that's the one thing that Miami did a great job of early, but now allowing Pitt to get too many second chance opportunities. And a veteran team like the Panthers, they normally take advantage of them. They're going to run this more shot clock, but they'll get to set the offense again. And if you're Miami, now you've had to play defense for pretty much a minute straight. That can wear you out.
15 to shoot here for Patterson. Here's Jones. Back to Lamar Patterson against Adams. Skip to Jones. 3 ball. Too strong. Zana slapped it out, and Robinson tried to save it, could not. It'll belong to Miami. Chris Jones was just 2 of 8 from 3 before cutting that one loose on the season. And now that'll bring Michael Young back on the floor as you get a look at the redshirt freshman, Teaneck, New Jersey, Chris Jones.
So we also talk about the fact Chris Jones, the redshirt freshman, is getting opportunity to play, but would he be in the rotation if Durant Johnson was healthy? So from that standpoint, you know, Chris Jones is, of course, a good player, no question about it, a young player who would be good in the Pitt uniform. But Durant Johnson was someone who gave them that extra three-point shooter that scored off the bench, and Jamie Dixon was confident in his role.
Yep. And now with 6:17 to play, a 3-point lead for the Panthers, and Reed on the drive. Left-hand layup, no good. Knocked out on the loose ball. LeCont's 3, no good. Swope runs it down.
And Miami now doing their job on the offensive board, coming up with extra possessions, and Pitt will have to play longer on the defensive end.
Adams, lob, swap the dunk. He's got 3 field goals, but 2 of them are eye level.
And just like in the first half, all you have to do is throw it to the rim, and 3 of his field goals, all 3 are dunked.
Robinson rims out a long 2. And last touch by Pittsburgh. A 1-point lead for Pittsburgh, but Miami threatening in our Staples make more happen moment.
And Eric Swope just makes more happen here, going way above the rim. Michael Young with his head turned. You got to see it when you're guarding that guy, because all you have to do is keep it in the building. He can go get it.
Swope, who's got the football body at 6'5", 220, has delivered tonight. And Miami finds themselves within a point again and the basketball with 5:36 to go. Jamie Dixon's Pittsburgh team still in the nation's top 25, lost 2 straight in 3 of their last 5. If you count that loss to Syracuse and what was a great game at the Carrier Dome a couple of weeks ago.
We talked about the teams they've had to play, and they've been close. No question about it. It's just they haven't been able to come away with the wins. But here, an opportunity now within 1 with Pitt to be able to try to get one against a quality team.
Yep. Well, Jim Larinagas, they kind of ramped up the schedule a little bit this year after their success a season ago. And they've lost 3 straight ACC games, all 4 at home. That's why this single game looms large tonight. Jamie Dixon tells Josh Newkirk what he wants run from the Pittsburgh bench. Trying to find the seam, Corey.
That's it. Continue to try to find ways to get inside that painted area right now. And Miami playing the man-to-man, going to the man instead of the zone.
Patterson, the leaner, can't score, rimmed out, and then knocked it away and commits the foul against Akpajori. Lamar Patterson's 3rd, 5 now on Pittsburgh, and a little bit of frustration for the senior Patterson there.
Well, for Patterson, missing chip shots that he normally makes close to the rim. He's been able to knock down 3 threes, but yet still not having the offensive night he's accustomed to having. And you have to credit Miami's defense for how much attention they pay to it. And also switching it up, going back and forth from man to zone, and making Pitt have to recognize what they're in every time down the floor.
Swope on the drive, strong move to the hoop and draws the foul against Young. Eric Swope, who went big in Chapel Hill in their win against the Tar Heels, is coming up big here tonight, Corey.
He is, and Coach Larinaga talked to us about Eric Swope and Akpajori as far as these guys understanding what their role is. They can be anywhere from the 8th to the 12th man on any given night, but you have to really appreciate what these guys are doing right now. 2 seniors coming in, giving you strong minutes in a tough game, and now Swope coming up with the free throw to tie the game and the opportunity to give them the lead over Pitt.
7 in the ball game for Swope. And Robinson will get into the contest.
And this is a lineup you rarely see from Pitt, now going small. with Lamar Patterson playing the 4 position, got both the point guards in the game, Newkirk and James Robinson, and Patterson going full. But what they'll probably most do is spread Miami out to see if they can find driving lanes for some driving kick opportunities.
Second one no good. The game tied at 39 and Swoper rebound.
And that's one of the drawbacks of going small, because now you have to be able to rebound the basketball. We know how important that is to Jamie Dixon.
39 all. Brown lob. They tried to go back for the Swope dunk. Panthers thwart that attempt. Here's Wright. Now to Robinson. And all of a sudden, Pittsburgh's going to grind this possession again.
My heart's beating a little fast because I actually wanted to see Eric Swope catch that. Because that would have been amazing if he was able to get a hand on that.
It would have been one they'd shown the rest of the year. Nice dump. Patterson had it deflected on the pass for Zanabak Bajori. 7 to shoot for Pittsburgh when we come back. Every game comes down to a couple of possessions. We're headed that way at Coral Gables tonight. 39 all with the Panthers and Canes. Total points in the second half, Corey. We're locked up here at 39 as we go to our game summary.
Well, we're locked up at 39 because when you look at 4 for 20 and 5 for 19 from the field, only 21 combined points from both these teams in the second half, and a lot of it has to do with the inability to make shots. Right now, whose defensive effort will be best? Somebody's going to have to make something at the end of the game.
Remember, 10 of the 17 bench points belong to Ryan Brown, who didn't start tonight because of a illness yesterday. They got him out of practice. So Pittsburgh, this critical possession. Remember, just 7 to shoot. Patterson, shot fake. Here's Robinson, a 3. Too strong. Zana, and a foul called underneath as Talib Zana had the rebound.
And as Darius Adams is pointing, he doesn't think the ball hit the rim, which would have been a shot clock violation for Pitt. The Pitt coming away with a free throw opportunity for Talib Zana, who got the offensive rebound. But right now, Coach Jim Larinaga arguing the same point. He doesn't feel as though that shot by James Robinson hit the rim, so it shouldn't have reset.
And Gary Maxwell offers a word there. You tell us.
From that angle, it doesn't look like it. It would have changed directions if it had hit the rim. And that shot did not hit the rim. I believe that Pitt dodges a bullet there simply because that would have been a shot clock violation.
Zana hits the first to push the Panthers back in front. And hits them both. It is a game of inches sometimes. 10 seconds. 2-point lead. Each team with 3 timeouts left. Both teams in the bonus. Brown shoots for the lead and hits. 13 for Ryan Brown.
And that last play would not have been a shot clock violation. Zana was actually fouled before the shot clock went off. He caught the basketball and was fouled before the shot clock went off, so the officials keeping track of the time.
Robinson the drive and scores. Pretty gutty move there.
And James Robinson attacking the paint, and that's his role on this team. He doesn't take a lot of shots. He just makes big shots and makes big plays, winning plays for Pitt.
Back in front go the Panthers. Adams. Here's Brown. Really, the game is morphed to the play of Brown, Adams, and Swope. And Brown had it blocked from behind by Lamar Patterson. That's 4.
And Ryan Brown stepping up, knocking down the huge 3. And if you're Cameron Wright, you have to stay in contact with Ryan Brown. Jamie Dixon very unhappy about the fact that Ryan Brown was able to get a shot up. But then when you look at James Robinson going and attacking against the contact and still able to finish. And Ryan Brown now at the free throw line with the opportunity to give the Canes a lead. Misses the first one. He can still tie it with the make. And Ryan Brown, one of the better free throw shooters in the league. Yep. But more importantly, Lamar Patterson picks up his 4th foul. And we all know how crucial he is to Pitt's success, especially going down the stretch.
And Brown missed them both, so Pittsburgh maintains the 1-point edge. Newkirk's on the floor now with Zana, Wright, Patterson, and Robinson, who's got the basketball. Screen by Zana. Cameron Wright on the drive. Here's Newkirk, and it's blocked. Adams got a hand on it. We approach 2 minutes in a 1-point game. Pittsburgh is in man-to-man, Corey. Adams to work. 13 to shoot.
The issue now for Pitt is, can you keep Eric Swope off the basket, off the offensive rebound?
Adams missed the jump shot, and Robinson cleans it up. Thought about the lead for Wright. Here's Patterson. Drives and draws the foul. Crowd wanted to travel. Swope commits the foul.
It was close. James Robinson finding Lamar Patterson, establishes, and I believe the crowd was right. He picked up that left foot, which was his original pivot foot, before the ball hit the ground. The Miami crowd has a point, but you talk about this game and having to officiate this game and the speed is unrealistic to get every call correct.
30-second timeout for Jim Larinaga as Lamar Patterson will go to the line. Don't forget, following us, Tom Wormy, Dan Bonner standing by at the Tucker Center in Tallahassee. Florida State is tied with NC State for 8th in the league. They're a game in the win column behind Maryland. And it's a fight in the middle of the stack, and they'll host Virginia Tech. Following our coverage here from Coral Gables, Tom and Dan will join you next. Jarrell Eddy, the Hokies' leading scorer, has been mired in a bit of a slump. And so has a Carl White, a pair of seniors who maybe their final campaign hasn't gone as expected so far.
Well, Carl White, of course, does he's similar to Lamar Patterson. He does a little bit of everything for Florida State. And scoring is not his biggest, although averaging 14 points a game over his last 5. Scoring is not the biggest asset that he brings to Florida State. It's the rebounding, the shot blocking, the defense. But Ian Miller is the guy they need to really be able to step it up. He and Aaron Thomas off the bench. They need production for Florida State to be successful.
Miller injured in the Clemson ball game. Could be a game-time decision. Tom and Dan will update you when they join you from the Tucker Center as soon as we're done here. And Patterson misses the front end. Corey, he's now missed 2 free throws here tonight. Guy who's 9th in the league, just ahead of Ryan Brown in free throw percentage. Second one is good. It's a 2-point lead for the Panthers.
Right now, Jamie Dixon will get Lamar Patterson out of the game, who now has 4 fouls. But you bring in Chris Jones, and you're giving these guys the arduous task of having to keep Eric Swope off of the offensive rebound. And, of course, he's a very physical player, and his athletic ability makes him a great offensive rebounder. So even if Miami misses, you've got to be aware of where he is at all times.
Off the screen, here is Adams going to work, and a foul. And it's on Cameron Wright. It'll be his second. Eight on Pittsburgh. You know, Jim Larinaga said something interesting to us this afternoon. It's kind of stuck with me here in the second half. They needed 3 guys to be near double figures in order to have a chance to win. And he said, you know, it doesn't have to be a combination of specific players, but tonight he's gotten Swope, Brown, and Adams to take that step forward.
Well, and he felt like it had to be his perimeter players.
Yep.
But he talked about Swope's role, and Swope, who, you know, may not play one game, but comes back in the next game and gives them great energy and great effort. And now Miami missing 4 straight free throws, and you're talking about 2 of your seniors, Ryan Brown and Darius Adams, missing 4 free throws coming down the stretch. And that was another thing Coach Larinaga talked to us about, was the fact that these guys who used to have to watch everyone do it, now they've got to be the ones that go out there and do it. In the second half, Miami 1 for 6 from the free throw line.
Well, and you wonder now, with Pittsburgh up 2 and 1:15 to go, and the Panthers will have the basketball. Mentally, you know, physically, maybe it's a tough night shooting, but mentally, how much does stuff like Sunday's loss factor into this?
Well, you talk about a great play designed by Tony Bennett from University of Virginia, and more importantly, a big shot by Malcolm Brogdon. But this is a game that Pitt is in. They're right there, a tie ball game. Virginia's able to win it with the 3 at the buzzer. But you, as a team, you think about things when things aren't going in your direction.
Yep.
They're always creeping in your mind. It's natural. So, of course, if you're Pittsburgh, you don't want to find yourself in that situation again at the end of this game, knowing that Ryan Brown is capable of knocking down a big shot.
Corey, you played in this league, and you know how big the month of February can be. There's a 2-game separation between Virginia and then this group of Duke, Pittsburgh, and Clemson. And Brad Brownell's team deserves some credit. They fought hard for a win last night against Georgia Tech. But if you're Pittsburgh, you can ill afford to slip here.
You don't want to be there. And, of course, as you look at down there at number 6, North Carolina gaining traction, starting to play much better in Chapel Hill. And I think they will have something to do with this when it comes down to the end of it. Who's going to be in those top 4 seeds? That's what you're shooting for. When you go to AC tournament, you want to be a top 4 team. You don't want to have to play early in the tournament.
Remember, if you're a top 4 seed, you don't play Wednesday or Thursday in the new 15-team format.
Right. And then, of course, if you have to play Wednesday, means you have to win 5 games to win the tournament. Playing Thursday, winning 4 games. Pitt, having played in the Big East tournament, where they've had 5 days before, it would be nothing new to them. However, they're a team that is used to getting one of those byes.
And the Panthers almost had an unforced error here on the inbound pass.
Well, that was James Robinson understanding how close he was to the half-court line, not wanting to touch the basketball. A smart play on his behalf, yet very risky on the other end of it.
Here's Wright looking to Patterson. Double team coming and a timeout by Jamie Dixon. Lamar Patterson was in real trouble.
And Jamie Dixon did not like the way that looked. And, of course, as the coach, he has a view over the entire court.
Yep.
He did not like Patterson with his back turned, with the Miami trap coming directly towards him. And with only 11 seconds left to go on the shot clock, he decides to burn the timeout. But you can see Jamie Dixon understanding where they are, and a great call by Coach Dixon.
Leaves Pittsburgh with 1 timeout. The final 56 and a half seconds. They've got 11 to shoot. Now Patterson touched the ball twice there in that possession and was double teamed both times.
Well,
nobody else was.
If you're Miami, you don't want him with the ball in his hands. You want to make sure someone else has to make the shot. And really, that's the philosophy most teams are following this year with Pittsburgh. Make someone else beat you other than Lamar Patterson. And I'm sure Miami will do that here going down the stretch.
Who's the next most logical guy then?
Well, if you think about it, you want to get to leave Zana an opportunity if you can. But on the perimeter, you have both James Robinson and Cameron Wright, who are playmakers and that can go out and not only make a play for himself, but for someone else.
Here is Robinson on the drive. Took the contact, pushed it up, wouldn't go. Zana's tap no good. And now Swope the rebound. And Miami with 45 seconds left front court and a Jim Larinaga timeout. About 11 or 12 seconds difference in the shot clock and game clock as we're down to the final 42.9 here in Coral Gables. And if you're Miami, have struggled to scoring. Here in the second half, you're 5 of 24, or you're 6 of 21 from the floor for 29%. Pittsburgh is 5 of 24 for 21%.
Well, we saw the offensive outburst in the first half that we really were not expecting. The second half has been more like what we're expecting with these two teams, both very good defensively. And, of course, the zone for Miami really keeps Pitt out of the paint, which is the key for them to be able to be successful is scoring points in the paint. But they have bottled up Lamar Patterson defensively, and even the last possession, not allowing James Robinson to get a clean look going to the rim.
Well, don't forget following us, Tom Wormy, Dan Bonner standing by in Tallahassee, Virginia Tech and Florida State. And a very important game for the Seminoles, who are trying to get toward the front division of the ACC. We were talking about a moment ago at 4-5. A win tonight would put them in a tie for 7th with Maryland. But a fairly intense 42-9 left here in Coral Gables.
Absolutely, and I would expect to see Ryan Brown somehow or another getting a look at the basket, or at least them making an attempt to get him a shot, whether it's from behind the three-point arc or him driving to the basket. You put the ball in the hands of your best player.
A 2 to tie, a 3 to lead, and here's LeConte going to work on another rookie, Newkirk. Here's Brown for the lead. Miami goes in front, 45-44. Jamie Dixon has one timeout left. Lamar Patterson picks it up in the front court, and there's the timeout, and the last one of the night for Pittsburgh. Boy, what a big shot by Ryan Brown.
Well, I'm not the type of guy, actually, yes, I am the type of guy to say, I told you so. But you knew that this was going to Ryan Brown. It was simply about how did Jim Larranaga design it. And right here, a great handoff from LeConte. LeConte gets his body on Brown's defender, and Ryan Brown stepping up, making the big shot. More importantly, Miami lulling Pitt to sleep, allowing them to think that Brown was not going to be in the play until the final seconds.
Corey, Pittsburgh did not pressure that high ball weave that Miami has used so much here tonight. They had done that earlier in the ball game. They were being very particular about the way they handled the screens, it looked like.
Well, Pitt was okay to allow LeConte to try to beat them off the drive in the middle. The thing is, they were not expecting the dribble handoff, and LeConte was able to get a body on the defender of Ryan Brown, and Ryan Brown does not need much space to be able to get off the shot. His jumping and tripping ability, he can shoot it over even taller defenders. So right there was very little challenge, and he was able to step up and knock down the shot.
All right. Let's go in Jamie Dixon's huddle. Is this Lamar Patterson?
Absolutely, no question about it. He's the guy that you depend on, but we also talked about the fact Miami will pay him special attention, and whatever they do, they're going to have 10 eyes on Lamar Patterson.
Down 1 with 17 seconds to go. Patterson on the drive, layup good.
10 eyes were not enough. He's that good, no question about it, and you have to give him credit. A guy that has struggled the entire game finds a way to get it to the rim, turning down the screen, and finds that small crack in the rim. That's not an easy shot by any stretch of the imagination, but you talk about a guy who's a big-time player making a big-time play, turning down the screen to the rim, and the confidence to go get it done regardless as the way the other 39 minutes of this game have gone.
Corey, look at this here, because look how many. You were talking 10 eyes. There are 5 jerseys around him at the rim.
Absolutely, and by turning down the screen, he takes Swope out of the direction. But you see, there was never a question in Lamar Patterson's mind as to whether or not he was giving this ball up or not. Has to go around Tony Chikiri, who is, of course, you're talking about a 7-foot defender, but Patterson, with the ability to maneuver the basketball in the air, able to finish.
One of the things we talked about and we watched during shoot-around today, how teams handle screens. In a play like this now, how will Pittsburgh handle Miami's attack? Will they be aggressive here?
Well, Pitt will switch everything. At this point in the game, you switch everything and not give up a good look. But if you're Miami, at this point now, you found yourself where all you need to do is get a 2 to win the game. Right. But more importantly, you want to put yourself in a position where you make the official have to make a call with you attacking the basket. I don't expect to see a long jump shot. I expect to see someone, whether it's Ryan Brown or Manny LeConte, attacking the basket for Miami, trying to get to the rim, putting the pressure on the officials to either make a call or them able to come up with a basket.
And quite frankly, Miami struggled scoring at the rim here tonight.
They have.
It's not been easy.
Well, it's never easy against Pitt. You know, from that standpoint. But with this part of the game, you can't really risk trying to take a jump shot and not give yourself the opportunity for a basket, a foul, or an offensive rebound, especially with 13.1 seconds.
Adams will put it in play. LeCont's in the backcourt. Chris Jones has come in the game with Robinson. And here's LeCont in the backcourt. 9 seconds. LeCont on the drive, forced it up, foul call. And it's on James Robinson.
And so many good things can happen for you going to the basket right there. You put the pressure on the officials to come up, and they have to make a call if there's going to be contact. We talked about the new rules, and LeCont just puts his head down, takes the contact from James Robinson. Now is at the opportunity to be able to tie this game or take the lead.
He is 3 out of 4 at the line tonight. And the first one is no good.
Well, the first one's the one with no pressure. The second one is the one with the pressure. And right now, Miami 1 for 7. But this one here is the one that determines whether or not you continue to play this game on or you're allowing Pittsburgh to walk away from Coral Gables with the win.
Miami's missed 6 straight at the line. Now LeCont ties the game. Jamie Dixon is out of timeouts. 7 seconds left.
And Jim Larinaga coming with Davon Reed. Now he has those long defenders that we talked about. 6'5", 6'6", and up along the front line. Big defenders in order to be able to deter Pittsburgh's shot.
Here's Robinson with 4. 3, 2, right. Shoots at the horn. No good. Overtime at Coral Gables. Tied at 46. Miami and Pittsburgh go to overtime. The last time they played 10 years ago, it took 2 overtimes. So really no surprise a decade later. We go to overtime here. 46 all when we continue with overtime from Coral Gables. We're going to overtime in Coral Gables at 46 with Pittsburgh and Miami. And we saw a couple of big shots going to the end of this 40 minutes.
Well, you have to talk about what Ryan Brown, the senior, was able to do, knocking down a huge three to put Miami up 2 late in the game. And Jim Larinaga Sr. stepping up, giving him exactly what he needs. However, Jamie Dixon has one of the best seniors in college basketball. Lamar Patterson, a Naismith Award candidate, was able to finish at the rim for Pitt to tie the game up.
Wright stole the tap, and Swope blocked it. Wow. Eric Swope's made some highlight plays at both ends of the floor. Brown a 3, and Miami leads in overtime.
And that's the second time during this game that an Eric Swope block has led to a three-pointer on the other end. But, of course, the first one was big. This one was huge.
Patterson tries to answer and does. He's got 18.
I think we found ourselves a duel right now. You're talking about two seniors throughout the ACC, Lamar Patterson, Ryan Brown, both stepping up, making huge shots at the end of regulation, now making big shots to start off overtime.
49 all. Brown toward the baseline. Here's Swope. Little ball screen and a bounce pass. Jakiri, a right-hand turn. And knocked out of bounds. Last touch by Pittsburgh.
And Eric Swope off the tip, getting back. Huge block. And it turns into a three at the other end for Ryan Brown. And Ryan Brown at this point is feeling it. If you're Jim Larranaga, you want to get him as many opportunities as you can on the offensive end.
Minute gone in the OT and a triple for each club. Still tied, though. 49 all.
And Pitt now playing the zone here in overtime, and they've got a traditional lineup back on the floor with the two bigs in there. They were playing with 4 guards to end regulation.
Adams on the drive, lost it. 10 to shoot for Miami. LeConte. Runner over Zana, too strong. And Swope with one.
But they don't know that the shot clock didn't reset. Swope came up with the rebound, but was unaware that the shot clock didn't reset. But you have to give him credit. A great hustle play. But someone needs to be yelling out, shoot the ball from the Miami Hurricanes in order to alert the guys on the floor.
Stay tuned. After we're done, we'll send you right to Tallahassee for Florida State, Virginia Tech. Tom Wormy, Dan Bonner standing by. Minute and a half and change gone here in overtime. Tied at 49 are Pittsburgh and Miami. Patterson. Baseline Young. Kick back. Patterson a shot fake. Now works his way baseline. Layup no good and a foul on Miami. An array of moves by Lamar Patterson.
That's what you call ball skills. No question about it. And Lamar Patterson understanding the pump fake to allow the defender to fly by, but he's going to get so much attention that the next guy is coming. Ryan Brown gets there. That's what we used to call hands up back on the playground. Right there, let him think you're shooting that, you go right by him. But Lamar Patterson, a great ball handler, especially for a guy his size, and very crafty the ways he gets to the rim.
No question. All 4 of Pittsburgh's points here in overtime belong to the senior Patterson. And the next one good. 2-point lead now.
And just like that, Lamar Patterson somewhat struggled throughout this, but you look up now, 20 points on the night, and really has been the guy stepping up, taking and making huge shots for the Panthers down the stretch.
Playing with 4 fouls, though, is Patterson. Adams on the drive, and Zana commits the foul. That is 3 on Zana, 10 on Pittsburgh, and look at Jamie Dixon.
Well, Jamie Dixon does not like the fact that Garrett Adams was able to get to the rim that easily, especially in a zone defense.
51-49, Adams at the line. First free throw of the night converted by Adams and snaps that Miami streak. 51-50 it is now, 9 for Adams. He went the entire second half scoreless. Remember, he had 8 quickly to start tonight for Larranaga's team. Now double figures for Adams.
And able to redeem himself. He missed 2 free throws at the end of regulation. But able to redeem him, knocking down 2 huge free throws for the Hurricanes there to tie the game.
Yep. Cameron Wright scoreless in the second half as well for the Panthers after a double-figure performance in the first half. But here's Patterson. Layup in traffic. Good.
I think he's found whatever it was he was missing. He's got it back right there. The left hand at the rim, and he's just showing us just the small touches of everything that he has in his arsenal.
Adams thought about the 3. On the drive, scooped it around Zana, wouldn't go. They scramble inside, and last touch by Patterson. Says Joe Lindsay will stay with Miami with 2 on.
Of course, the great ball handling once again to go to the left around the defender and able to finish. And, of course, Tony Jakiri now with 4 fouls. And I think that has a lot to do with him challenging shots. And right now you see Jim Larranaga taking him out of the game.
Rafael Akpajori onto the floor for Miami. Under 2 to go in overtime. Pittsburgh with a 2-point lead. LeConte thought about it. 3 to shoot. Brown with the clock winding down misses the triple. And it'll be a shot clock violation with 1:47 to play. And boy, Pittsburgh has tightened the screws defensively.
They have, and this is where Jim Larranaga was talking about his team. We've been right there, but we have to be able to make plays to win it. And right there, not happy with Manu LeConte, not understanding that the shot clock is running down. You can't continue to make extra passes. Someone has to get a shot at the rim.
Zone still by the Hurricanes. Patterson. Nice pass, Zana. And a foul on Swope. Or beg your pardon, they whistle it on Akpajori.
I tell you what, that was an unreal pass by Lamar Patterson. And just the recognition right there. And see, one thing that I like to tell people about great passers, when your teammates catch them, that means you do it all the time. Because when it punches them in the face, right, that means they're not expecting it. But right there, Talib Zana expecting the pass from Lamar Patterson, knowing that if he gets his seal and gets open, Patterson will get him the ball.
That is a pretty nifty little tactic in your book, isn't it?
Oh, no question about it. He's Lamar Patterson's a special player. I talked to, and I won't mention his name, but a former ACC coach who is now an NBA scout.
Yeah.
And they're here solely to see him.
Yep. Well, they've seen a lot tonight as Zana hits the back end. And I think they've seen him fight, as we have, Corey, through a night that has not exactly gone to the script he would like.
Absolutely, and that's really the mark of a person, but definitely a basketball player, is what you do in times of adversity. And Lamar Patterson is showing that regardless of the way things have gone, he can rise above everything else and perform when it matters most.
70 seconds left, a 3-point game. Miami needs a basket, and Brown can't hit the chippy. And knocked out of bounds. Boy, Patterson took a shot, lost his handle on the basketball, and that'll save possession for Miami. Well, the veteran players have made plays in regulation. Brown and Patterson.
Absolutely. You got to give Ryan Brown a lot of credit for what he's been able to do here tonight as well.
Yep.
Big game for him. 19 points, and of course didn't start because he was sick yesterday, so rebounding very well from the illness.
Adams to Brown. 20 to shoot. Adams thought about the 3. Time ticking, and LeConte cuts one loose. It won't go. Right. And we get the foul on Zana as he battled Akpajori. And for Talib Zana, that's his 4th. And now Rafael Akpajori, who is 2 of 2 at the free throw line, is going to go to the stripe here on Zana's 4th with 40.2 left.
But if this isn't a microcosm of Miami's season, you have Eric Swope and Akpajori on the court, guys who don't even know if they're going to play coming into a game. And more importantly, stepping up and making huge plays for Jim Larranaga. And he talked to us about his team and the guys recognizing their roles. And you have to give a lot of credit to these 2 seniors for coming in and playing their role.
Corey, these are Akpajori's first points since December 4th at Nebraska.
And huge points, of course, to make this a 1-point game. And now he goes out. Donovan Kirk, who we've seen very little of in the in the second half of this game, now comes back in, as well as Davon Reed for defensive purposes. But Akpajori, coming in and battling, and like I say, he's a guy that, may not even play in the game.
Akpajori went 2 months without scoring. Double team and a little pressure. Here's Patterson now. Pittsburgh. Front court with Wright. It's a 1-point lead. And Miami running and jumping, and Cameron Wright is fouled by Davon Reed. And that is 2 shots for Cameron Wright, who had 10 points in the first half, with scoreless through the second half. And you see Florida State, an early 3-point lead, will send you to Tallahassee once this one is final. Wright pushes it to a 2-point game. Shot clock's off with 29.6 left, and Jamie Dixon will clear the foul lanes. Now, if you're Miami, you can't be wasting time here.
Absolutely not. And you have to take now, of course, they're down 3. And I think it's a situation where, honestly, if I'm them, I'm trying to still look at getting something toward the basket. But yet, if you get a good look at a 3, you've got to let it go.
22 seconds left. LeCompte on the drive, skips to Brown. Ryan Brown for a 2 that's good.
And I think that was a great play by Ryan Brown. You put yourself in a position where you try to come up with a steal. If not, you foul and put the pressure on Pitt to be able to finish.
Robinson in a double team. And timeout called by Jamie Dixon. The one he was given in overtime is burned here with 13.3 left as Ryan Brown drives to the rack.
And a great play by Ryan Brown, understanding they were going to try to run him off the three-point line, getting to the lane and finishing, but you look, still 16 seconds at that time. It gives you an opportunity to get a trap, see if you're able to come up with the steal, and if not, you can always foul, but you don't want to have to rely on that three-pointer until absolutely necessary.
Well, when you start talking about big stars in the game, there's the biggest. 22 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists. And Corey, you thought he might be struggling at the end of the first half. He was rewriting the script.
And then you think about this really got him going. He was able to knock down the 2 threes to end the half, and then a huge 3 when they were in a scoring drought. But then starting out overtime, he made the game to put him ahead at the end, getting to the rim. Lamar Patterson has shown us the entire arsenal of moves, but he has made all the big shots for Pittsburgh at the end of this game.
This is not the first time this has kind of played out for him this way. You saw it earlier in the year at NC State. Very quiet first half, erupts in the second half. Pittsburgh wins going away. Tonight, a little of the same for Lamar Patterson.
Well, one thing about Lamar Patterson, he's not going to panic. And, of course, he's been in Jamie Dixon's system for 5 years. He's a redshirt senior, understanding that the way the ebbs and flows of the game, he understands how things are going to happen. But he knows eventually he's going to be able to break through and have an influence on the outcome of the game.
Well, this one had an opportunity to be possession to possession, and it's turned out that way tonight.
It has that, and, of course, now if you're Pitt, the key is to be able to inbound the ball. One thing, remember, this is not a deadline. They cannot run on the baseline.
Right.
In a tough spot down there to be able to get the ball in bounds. You don't want to throw into the corner where you give Miami an easy opportunity to be able to track it.
Patterson a spot throw in. Joe Lindsay telling him that, and points to the floor. And Eric Swope bats it away into the Miami bench. So now Lamar Patterson will move to the sideline.
And I can't say that's a better spot, to say the least.
That might be more difficult. And they get it to Robinson. Right back to Patterson, and there's the foul by LeCompte. That's well done by Pittsburgh, Corey, because it looked like they had, 2 guys in motion toward the basketball?
Yeah, it was, but it looked like a dangerous pass from this angle, because if you're Davon Reed, you make a break on this basketball, you have a chance to get a hand on it. So, of course, Lamar Patterson, one of the better passers, he understands that James Robinson is going to come meet the basketball. But if you're Davon Reed, that may be one where you take a chance after that steal.
First one rims out for Patterson, and here's Donovan Kirk for Davon Reed.
And that changes things because, of course, for Miami now, all you need, if he's even able to make this one, all you need is something at the basket. We saw LeCompte try to get to the rim before and get fouled. So still the pressure on Patterson to knock down the free throw.
Second one good. He has got 7 of Pittsburgh's 10 in overtime. And now it is a 57-55 game, and Larinaga uses the Miami timeout. And Davon Reed getting some coaching from Michael Huger.
And I think Michael Huger is telling them exactly what we were talking about before. On that possession, that was an opportunity for him to really just kind of kick it into extra gear and see if he could get a hand on that basketball and come up with the steal, because the ball was laid out there for him to be able to go after it.
Michael Huger played for Jim Larinaga during his run at Bowling Green from 1986 to 1997. And there weren't any tougher in the MAC at the time than Michael Hugo.
And right now, of course, Jim Larinaga would love to have a guy like Michael Hugo on his team. But right now, I honestly think you go back to the same formula. You go with LeConte trying to penetrate. But one thing that you don't want to get away from is if LeConte is able to get into the lane and Pitt's defense sucks in, see if you can find Ryan Brown behind the line for three. You're at home. It's an opportunity for you now. You don't have to have the three, but if you don't have a good look at the rim, you're able to suck the defense in. You take a chance on kicking it out, getting him a good look, and walking off the court with the win.
And one thing we've learned in college basketball, 10.6 is a long time. 2-point lead for Pittsburgh, trying to snap a 2-game skid. Adams, LeConte, Reed, Brown, and Swope on the floor. Here's LeConte. Front court with 6. Brown with 4. On the drive, turned over to Patterson, and a foul with 2.1 left. The foul is going to be on Davon Reed.
And Ryan Brown trying to go to the basket, unable to get a good handle on it and kick it to Davon Reed in the corner. Ball just bounces off his leg. No foul there. Clean play on Cameron Wright's part. Unfortunate for the Hurricanes, unable to get a shot up on the last possession.
Pittsburgh's not quite out of the woods just yet, though, Corey. They could use both these free throws, couldn't they?
Well, if he's able to knock this one down, it's pretty much over.
Yep. That makes it a 3-point game. And that makes it a 4-point game.
And that makes it a ball game for Pitt.
10 points for Lamar Patterson in overtime. 10 of the Panthers, 13. Brown at the horn, and it's no good. And in overtime, Jamie Dixon and Pittsburgh snapped their 2-game losing skid. Jim Larinaga's team has lost 4 straight in the ACC. Pittsburgh a winner here, 59-55. Dan Bonner, Tom Wormy standing by in Tallahassee.
Run your